Well, all right. Mr. Eddie Hyatt Sr., can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you, Mr. Brother Rex?
Oh, not too bad. All right, so let me kind of introduce everything and we'll get to chatting here in a few minutes. I want to welcome everybody to the show. It's been a while since I've done one of these on the outdoor news. I've been over there doing the political stuff on Bossier Watch and all that, and so the outdoor news stuff has kind of been on the back burner, but, um, you know, I've done some fishing videos and all that, and anyway, I decided to kick it off with some information about the tournament down at Caney and high school fishing in general. And then I also have another video that I'm going to post. It'll actually be show number 8, so it'll be a little out of sequence, that I did with Charles, the head coach of LSUS fishing over there. So I still need to post that video. But anyway, all right, so Mr. Eddie Hyatt Sr., introduce yourself. I've got you labeled as a lakeside boat captain. And you captain your son. It's no secret I follow you all around sometimes video and Eddie Hyatt Jr. But tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Well, I'm Eddie Hyatt Sr., and I'm boat captain for Lakeside. And my son fishes Little Man. Everybody knows Little Man in Maddox Weeds.
So how long have you been fishing tournaments, Eddie? I mean, how long have you been bass fishing and all that sort of thing? How much experience have you got?
Well, I've been bass fishing for probably 20 years. On the high school side, probably since they were in 8th grade. Little Man, he's a junior now, so
All right.
long enough.
Yeah, long enough to have some experience doing this, right? All right.
Yes, sir.
And so, what we're going to talk about tonight, the main thing is this tournament down on Caney. And I want to say up front that look, I have been since one of my best friends, or my best friend, Mike Davis, got me back into helping the high school league, or got me into helping the high school league back in 2018, and got me back into bass fishing. I have been a huge proponent of high school bass fishing and the league around here, the North Louisiana High School Fishing League, and I still am a big proponent of it. So I don't want anybody to think that just because we're talking about chaos, that it's all completely bashing high school fishing. It's certainly not that, because we're going to talk about some of the good stuff first.
Right.
So, Mr. Eddie, why don't you just start off with, we were staying at the same place down there at Caney Lake, and we had a pretty good time fishing. It rained a little bit, but why don't you tell us about y'all's pre-fishing adventures and what y'all did pre-fishing and that sort of thing?
Well, we went down there Thursday. We y'all free fish Thursday. Had a good practice. I think Little Man caught a 8-11 on Friday. We seen a few spawn fish on Thursday. We just kind of piddled around trying to get an idea of what we needed to do.
Right.
And anyways, I mean, it wasn't the best practice, but it wasn't a bad practice either.
Yeah, I kind of gave Eddie Jr. a little grief about them catching them big fish the evening before the tournament. I told him, I reminded him, y'all might could have used a couple of those bites, hopefully Saturday. But
Oh, we could.
so
Yeah.
let's go ahead and get into Saturday, and I'll just start from the top, and I want to give my perspective, and then Mr. Eddie, I'll give you a chance to give your perspective on it. Okay, as the boat captains. So everybody knows, me and Mike Davis were down there, and we were just down there to see the weigh-in, support Eddie Sr. and Eddie Jr. and Maddox, and also Mike's cousin Ernie. He was a boat captain for his grandson Skylar, and Skylar's partner, and I forget his name right off the top of my head. I think it was Lance. But anyway, so we were just down there to fish and go. I want to do a little bed fishing and all that sort of thing and see the tournament. So we all get up early Saturday morning, and I decided I was going to go over there and watch the takeoff. And Mike rode with me. We rode over there in my boat. I mean, we already had him in the water at the dock and all that. And Eddie, I think y'all had left. Y'all left about 10 or 15 minutes before we did and headed over there, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And why don't you just describe, for everybody that hadn't ever done this before, kind of what the scene was like when y'all arrived over there at the deal. And then I'll give my perspective when Mike and I got there, because it's actually pretty cool. If y'all had never seen the high school fishing deals in the morning, it's pretty cool. So, Mr. Eddie, why don't you describe when y'all got over to the takeoff that morning?
Well, when we got over there, I mean, everybody was putting their boats in. Everybody was stacked up right there by the dock. And anyways, I mean, it looked good. Everybody was shining. Boys, they were ready. Had a little music playing.
Right.
And we're gung ho for the takeoff.
All right. All right.
So junior high, of course, goes first.
Right.
So we were like boat 3 in the high school. So I think there was 49 junior high. So, you know, they get first dub, which is understandable. So as soon as they called boat 1, well, I don't think he showed. I think he had some problems. But when they started at boat 2, it seemed like just nobody was organized and getting in line. You know, try to get a fairly quick takeoff. It was just a little bit of corruption there, buddy. That's about all I can say about that.
All right. So let me give everybody my perspective. So, you know, Mike and I, again, we were in my boat. I've done this a zillion times with the high school league. I've been fishing tournaments for, I don't know, 30 plus years. So has my best friend, Mike. And so we get over there and, you know, we were staying over out of the way. We idled around the cove a little bit and got on the trolling motor and trolled in there and, you know, trying to give everybody their distance. But I got to say, you know, when we were running up the creek and just seeing the lights of all those kids and boat captains and all that in there, it's really cool. It really is. And
It is.
It really gets your heart racing and your blood pumping, even if you're not fishing the tournament, just being able to see all that. And so, you know, we were pretty excited. And I, as a matter of fact, I made the comment to Mike. I was like, man, it's really cool to see all these lights and know all these kids are out there. So anyway, we eased up there and just like you, we watched the junior teams go out first. And I think you're right. There were about 49 teams or whatever it was. And that went relatively smooth. And look, you got to understand for everybody that had never done this. When a lot of these boat captains haven't really done this a lot or these types of tournaments. I mean, some of them certainly have, but a lot of them, the kids are fired up, the boat captain's fired up, and they're trying to make sure everything's just right and make sure their tackle's organized and the rods are strapped down and the kids are talking and they're having a good time. You're right, there's music playing and all that. So anyway, the junior boats got out of there relatively well, but, you know, there were a few kind of stragglers a little bit. But when the high schoolers got there, which usually the high schoolers, you know, they're relatively smooth. And you're right. I think what were y'all, boat number 6? Is that right?
We were boat 3.
Boat 3, okay. So about the time boat 6 rolled around, I noticed Kirk, and not Kirk's fault at all, and this is not really a fault of the tournament itself, the league itself, but I noticed that Kirk was kind of struggling trying to get everybody in line because, you know, once you get the assembly line going, you need it to keep rolling. If somebody gets out of place or gets out of number, then they've handed out the wrong peg and it can just be chaos. Right. And I looked over there at Mike and I was like, man, I probably shouldn't, but I can't stand it. So I stood up on the boat and started, as Kirk was calling numbers, I started repeating the numbers and yelling to the back of the pack so they can hear, because you got to remember, you got outboards running too. And so you can't, even though they did have a great sound system, you still can't always hear in the very back. So I started repeating the numbers and, hey, talk to your neighbor. And all right, I need boat 7 here. I need boat 8 here. Get behind this Skeeter, behind this Ranger, and started trying to kind of direct the traffic and get it organized and helping Kirk out. And so that's what I did. And it went relatively smoothly. Had a few stragglers. We had one that had some motor trouble and had to put them to the back of the line and all that sort of thing. But anyway, it went relatively smoothly. And there were, I don't know, 6 or 7 people that didn't show and, you know, had to skip through those numbers and all that. But here's the one place I want to criticize. And then, Mr. Eddie, I'll get back to you. The problem I had was there were 4 officers who were fishing. My numbers are right. There were 4 of them. As a matter of fact, I kind of helped direct and call their numbers. You know, hey, y'all come on, and everybody's doing their thing. Of course, they all knew how to do it. That's not the point. The point is, and I've told all these guys, pretty much all of them, this before, instead of putting themselves at the end of the line of numbers and making sure everything went smoothly and then following everybody out, they didn't. if I hadn't have been there to help direct traffic, it'd have been more chaotic. And it's not Kirk's fault because he was one emceeing and you know, calling out the numbers and directing traffic, but he can only do so much from the dock. It's not Kirk's fault. So anyway, we got through all that. Now that we're through the takeoff, I want to give you a chance to talk about the fishing day. So how did y'all's fishing day overall go?
Well, the good thing was we was able to get to one of our spots before we had a bunch of boats come on. Of course, we had one junior high team there, but for the most part, I mean, it was good. They had 3 fish in about probably 25 minutes, and they had a couple more key bites. And you know, Maddox lost a 5-pounder. Little man lost one about 4.5 pounds. So for the most part, I mean, it was okay. And we had left. Went to another spot. We knew where some stonefish was. Anyway, so, you know, little man, he throws on a bed. He hangs one about 8-9 pounds, and he breaks him off. Then Maddox hangs another one. Of course, he come out of the water and lost it. But other than that, I mean, it was a lot of boats, a lot of traffic. You was fishing on top of each other. I think for the most part, man, we had a pretty good day. They just didn't execute and get the fish in the boat the key fish that we needed.
Right.
So, I mean, it is what it is. It's called fishing, man.
Oh yeah, it is. And so here's one. Now, Mike and I actually, my starter went out on mine. So I got another starter on the way. I got to replace the starter. So we got in Mike's boat. And then we caught up to y'all to run a little camera for a little bit. And one thing that I noticed everybody's been talking about, and again, this is not a fault of the league either, is the number of boats on Caney Lake, because it's getting more and more popular again. Yeah. So talk to me about, you know, from a boat captain's perspective, because if people don't realize, when you're a boat captain, you don't fish. You literally sit there, right?
That is correct. So,
okay.
The only problem I seen, man, is we had a few boats cut us off, you know, which shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, you get that many boats on. I think they had 3 other tournaments on the lake, so there was boats everywhere.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, we had another little deal happen. I think you was witness to it. We came back in. We were going back to another spot, and there was a boat sitting out in the, you know, right in the middle of the lake. Well, I went to the left side of it. You was following.
Right.
Well, this kid throws a jig across the bow of my boat and hooks my trolling motor. Well, any other time I probably would have thrown a fit, but I went on in there, you know, let them boys fish. But other than that, man, I mean, it was, you know, I can't complain, you know, other than having a bunch of boats. But, I mean, it is what it is.
Well, and I want to be clear to everybody, because you're right. I was, you know, behind you because, again, we were following you to do a little video and hopefully get them catching some fish on video. We were not in any shape, fashion, or form anywhere close to the other boat as far as being too close. They were out in the middle of the creek, and we were running up the middle of the creek, and you swung wide around them. Yeah, and I saw when that kid turned around. I didn't realize at the moment what he was doing. But lucky it didn't yank the kid out of the boat.
That's right. That's correct.
All right.
Just little stuff like that needs to be addressed.
Right.
Needs some challenge. Yeah.
Well, and I don't think you turned that in to the league or anything and didn't report it.
Hey, look, you know, I'm not a crybaby. We're there to challenge them fish, man. That's what we're all about. We're all about the competition part. That's what we do. Little things like that really don't bother me. You know, the kid probably didn't have no better sense in doing what he did, but I mean, it is what it is, dude. You're going to have certain things like that when you're on the lake, especially the cutting off part. Now, I don't like that. Some of these daddies ought to have more respect, you know, for these fishermen. But the first spot we went to, there was a junior high to the kind of in front of us. Well, his boat was turned to the right. Well, you know, I'm going to give him the courtesy to go to the right. So we took to the left, and I turned around. Well, this daddy here, he comes following us. And, you know, I didn't mean no disrespect. Hell, I thought he was going to the right, so I'm going to go to the left. Then we had another boat come down the side of the bank and was literally going to cut us off. But I left the boat there. He's not coming around me, buddy. But anyway,
All
that's
right.
how our day.
So why don't you take just a few minutes, and for the folks that are watching that don't really know, because we got, I don't know, about 50 something people watching right now. Why don't you describe for a minute what the boat captain does, or the job of the boat captain in the high school fishing league, which operates under the TBF and SAF rules? What
Well, look,
can or can't you do?
well, this is my job. My job is to run the boat, keep these kids safe. I can run the trolling motor. I can dip fish for them if I need to. And that's it. I can't touch no rod. I can't do none of that.
Right.
I mean, we're pretty restricted to what we can do. So
Now the kids can run the trolling motor, right?
kids can run the trolling motor, yes, sir.
Okay.
They can tie their own baits on. You know, I can throw them a bait or whatever, but for the most part, they're on their own. You know,
Right.
We try to teach these kids to get out there, learn, you know, and do the best they can do. Catch these bass, net them, do whatever, call them, whatever we need to do. That's what they got to do.
All right. So now, I think it was about 2 o'clock, maybe 1:30. Mike and I left, and we went and actually found Ernie and them to check on them, and just, maybe shoot a little video or take some pictures, because they had caught a couple of fish by that time. So we left
Right.
y'all and went over with Ernie. Well, to be clear, Ernie's the second boy in Ernie's boat had to leave to go to a school function, so we called the tournament director, Kirk Williams. I called him myself, known Kirk many years, a good guy, and made sure that Mike Davis could get in the boat with Ernie and the other boy, Skyler, as the third observer in the boat, which the league requires. You got to have 3 people in the boat at all times.
That is correct.
Okay. And so then I just took Mike's Ranger, and I was like, I'm going to go bed fishing for a little while. And so at that point, what time did y'all have to be at weigh-in? What was y'all's check-in time?
I think junior high started weighing in at 2 o'clock, I think. High school, we were first flight, so we had to weigh in at 3 o'clock.
Right. Okay. So, and I want to back up for a second. So John Sherrod says, if they hooked your trolling motor, you were too close. Well, I can tell you we were about 30 to 50 yards from that boat. The boat was in the middle of the creek, and you ain't got but basically one place to run up the creek, and there were other boats staged out in the middle of the creek, and the boy slung that jig or whatever it was, probably a 30 or 40 yard cast. So no, they weren't too close, because I literally saw that. All right. So let's get back to the check-in, because I didn't witness all of the check-in, and that's where the title of the show comes from, the chaos. So describe for me about what time y'all got to check in and what exactly happened from that point.
Our weigh-in time was at 3 o'clock, so we give ourselves about 10 minutes to get on back. When we pull up, the weigh-in was at the beach. You got the little beach area, then you got a big dock right there to the right. We pull up, and there's freaking boats everywhere. So we seen the check-in flag, but we never seen the young lady that's supposed to be there checking in. You couldn't have got to her anyways, because all the boats.
Right.
So I waited for a few minutes. Anyways, there was a boat pulling out the dock, so I pulled up to the dock. Little man grabbed his peg, and he went across the dock, and because the weigh-in was right there, up the hill there above the end of the dock. Well, we didn't see the young lady that we need to check in with, so little man goes to the where they're weighing the fish. Well, there's a sign there that says check in and weigh bags.
Okay.
So he hands his little old stick or whatever it was. He gives it to Brandon White, which is one of the officials up there. I'm not sure if he's official, but he's helping with the weigh-in. So anyways, look, they give little man bags. They come back down, get their fish. And anyways, to make a long story, look, let me back up a little bit. So there were so many boats there that I was literally letting kids come get in my boat to go get in another boat to get to the dock.
Right.
So the place was not designed for that many boats, for one. You know, they should have had somebody out in a boat checking people in when they come in, that sort of, you know, in my opinion. Or had a couple more, you know, had somebody else at the end of the dock, because it was kind of crazy. But anyway, make a long story short. So little man weighs his fish, comes back down to the boat, and they let the fish go. Well, about probably 10 minutes later, the young lady that's doing the check-in calls my cell phone. She says, "Look, little man Maddox ain't checked in." I said, "Well, ma'am," I said, "they done turned their tag in, and they done weighed their fish." She said, "Where are you at?" I said, "I'm over here." She looked over at the dock, and I waved at her.
Right.
So anyways,
but I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to be clear on that point, because I actually have the video of Little Man and Maddox weighing in. It's about the 24-minute mark in the weigh-in video. If anybody wants to go watch it, I may pull it up here. As a matter of fact, hold on just a second. I want to play that video of them weighing in. Hold on just a second here. Okay, so I know you can't see it, but if you'll just listen in, you'll hear them.
Caney Maddox coming up next. All right, guys, how are y'all? We all right? 5 fish, 5 alive. Tell me about it.
Well, it was pretty hard, man. It was like all day, every day, just throwing in front of trawler boats. I mean, we had 45 boats in a matter of like 10 yards. It was just nice.
It was nice. 988 nice. Not bad. Well, they all had that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Who do you want to thank?
I want to thank my sponsors, my boat captain, which is my dad, my parents, my beautiful girlfriend, and just I really appreciate all y'all coming out here to support us. It's a pleasure we get to do this on weekends that we should have free, but I love bass fishing, I love hot women, and I love Jesus.
There you go. All right.
That boy.
Do you want to add that to? You want to add anything to that, or you just want to kind of roll with that and go on
I think
fish back in the water?
I'm just going to let the fish back in the water.
All right, guys, give it up.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there. That boy is hung up on that girlfriend. There ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm worried about that, buddy.
All right, but so at that point, y'all have no idea that there's any controversy, right?
No, sir. We didn't have any. I think it was 10 minutes after they weighed in is when I got the phone call.
Okay, now I want to share what I saw as I came in there, which was after, probably after they had weighed in. I'm not really sure, to be honest. But I eased up there and I was floating out in the cove. I was in Mike's Ranger and just sitting out there floating. I was watching all the boats, staying out of the way and trying to see what the heck was going on. And here is what I saw myself. A couple of things. One, there were boats that were stuck in the sand because the beach is shallow. And I understand the state park wants you to use that beach area, but they should have had the foresight to know that was going to be a circus. And coaches trying to, get their boats jammed in reverse to get off the sand and blah, blah, blah. And kids, like you said, running across boats to try to get to the dock. And what really pissed me off, and my biggest criticism of this whole deal, honestly, is I was watching kids taking fish and throwing them in the air to do somersaults and cartwheels off the dock and into the water. And I'm a big proponent of catch and release. Now, I'm not a fanatic about it. If somebody wants to go out fun fishing and keep fish and eat them and fry them, I don't care. But in a tournament scenario, that ain't right.
No, they need to be a little more respectful. That's something else. Some of them kids, they don't need to do that. I mean, I agree with you.
And here's the problem. There is a procedure for releasing those fish. And
Correct.
There was nobody from the league. Again, you have 4 officers actually fishing. I don't know how many volunteers they had. Maybe they didn't have enough volunteers. I understand how that goes. But there's no excuse. Those kids it's 100 yards from that trailer to the dock. They were They were walking down to the dock, not even fishing bags. They're literally toting their fish old school down there.
Yeah.
They're stopping to take pictures with Aunt Susie and mom and daddy and whatever. And hey, I'm all about the kids taking plenty of pictures. But meanwhile, the fish are drying out and they're taking them down there. And at best, they were having to drop them off the side. And it's a couple of feet from the top of that dock to the edge of the water. The water's a foot and a half deep at that dock.
It's probably about 6 foot.
Yeah. All right. And the water's real shallow right there. And again, I literally saw a couple of kids flipping the fish up doing somersaults. And I was like, what in the hell is going on around here? Who is orchestrating the chaos? And that's the biggest problem that I had now. And it pissed me off so bad. I finally, after everybody, had pulled up to the dock that needed to, so I wasn't blocking anybody, I eased Mike's boat up there beside yours and poled down. And we were sitting there talking. As a matter of fact, I think I was there when you got the call from the lady.
Correct. That's correct.
To see if y'all had checked in, and y'all at that point had already weighed in.
Yeah, we were done.
Okay. And I was so darn mad. I was like, I'm not even going up there. Finally, you decided, you got a little, let's say, not happy, and I went up there and found Maddox it was about the time Virgilito's kids were weighing in. I found Maddox and said, hey, boy, come on. If you either come with me and let's get in the boat or you're going to have to walk back.
Yeah,
all right.
I let him get the boat, not my boat.
All right. So let's pick it up from that point. At that point, y'all don't know anything different. Y'all have already weighed in. Nope. You've already got the phone call.
Yep.
Okay. So then what happens? Yeah. Tell us then what happens.
So we leave to go back to the camp where we were staying. We all get back. We get up on the deck and we're sitting there talking. Well, there's already a few phone calls coming around about people getting DQ'd.
Right.
So anyway, I made a phone call to Virgilito.
Mm-hmm.
I said, hey, man, I said, well, what's going on? I hear something about some DQing going on. No, everything's going to be all right. There ain't going to be no disqualification. There was just some chaos there at the ramp. And I told him exactly what happened. I said, look, we pulled up, seen the flag flying, but we didn't see nobody check in. And little man, he just went on up there and checked in with Brandon White.
Right.
So I assumed everything was going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Until I got a phone call this morning.
All right, now hold right there. Hold that thought, because we got a couple of comments, and I want to give my little tidbit into that too. So the first comment is Hyler Dowden, hope I'm saying that name right, says there was no lady there when I went up there to turn in my boat thing. Rachel Sal, who used to be the secretary, I hope I'm saying that right, Rachel. Anyway, she said, so the check-in table and the boat pegs were in two separate places. That is correct. And I want to hold that thought, Rachel, because I want to, all right, I want to show something. And Eddie, I know you can't see it, but I've got the map pulled up that the league posted on their Facebook page. And this is the one showing the weigh-in site, the afternoon check-in. All right, and it says check in here prior to your designated flight time. Okay, and the boat parking and the weigh-in, and the marker where the check-in person was going to be is not really clear on any of these screenshots that they had shared. All right, okay. Now I want to do one other thing. I'm going to play the video that I posted Saturday evening, because we all started getting phone calls about this because people call me to ask. So I'm going to play the video. I had downloaded the league's video, boosted the audio because you couldn't hardly hear the audio that was in their original video, and transcribed the section where they're talking about what happens at check-in. So I'm going to play this video. It's about a minute long, so just bear with me if you will listen.
And what are they looking for, Brandon, what's going to be the key of where check-in is going to be? What are they looking for?
On that map, you probably saw an arrow kind of pointed towards the beach area that's there at the Jimmy Davis State Park. They've got one beach area, and on that beach area, we're going to have somebody there, and there should be a big yellow flag that says check in.
That's right.
You have to come check in at that flag before you go get a weigh bag, before you go weigh your fish, because if you don't check in, we're going to assume that you hadn't come in, and just say you, for some reason, go run up there and get your bag and go weigh your fish, and then come check in, and it's 15 minutes after your flight time, you're DQ'd. So you have to let that person know what time you're in. If you're in, you just say your flight time is 3 o'clock and you come in at 3:02, that's a 2-minute penalty. It's 1 pound per minute penalty up until 15 minutes, and then at 15 minutes after your flight time, you're disqualified.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm a big stickler for the rules myself. So I got to ask you, Mr. Eddie.
Yeah.
Were y'all late? And if you were in fact late, should you have been DQ'd if you're over 15 minutes? Would you have a problem with that?
Well, by no means were we late.
Okay.
I mean, we got there we probably had 10 minutes, to get signed in, checked in or whatever. But no, I don't think, if it would have been just, one team that messed up, it might have been one thing, but, to have 11, 12 teams DQ'd, your top place guy, top place team, your third place team, I mean, come on, something's going on. I mean,
well, yeah, you bring up a good
it don't
point.
take a rocket scientist to figure out what went on. If we seen the girl, we would have checked in with the girl. I mean, we know what we need to do on these tournaments. But I'm telling you, all we seen was a flag. So,
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. I think the league did wrong. I think they made a bad judgment call. I think it needs to be more organized. For one, the park area was big enough to hold all the boats we had anyway.
Right.
So,
All right.
there's a lot of things to be changed. And, I just ain't happy about the whole deal, to be honest with you.
All right, so let me give some more of my perspective of what happened. And again, when I pulled up there, I could see, I think she had a little lawn chair or something right there, but I didn't see the check-in girl. Granted, I wasn't necessarily looking for her the entire time, but while I was sitting there floating down the cove before I idled over the dock, I didn't see the check-in girl.
I'm going to say one thing. So where the flag was, when the girl finally did call me, she was sitting up the hill on a picnic table. She wasn't nowhere near the beach area or the flag.
Okay.
So I can see for a lot of parents or a lot of kids couldn't see her. So there was people everywhere. So, I think things need to change. There should have been a boat out there, getting people in, checking them in. It was just, it is what it is. Ain't nothing I can do about it. But
all right, so Jonathan Sebring in the comments says 77 teams saw her. Let me correct you, Jonathan. They DQ'd 11 teams out of that 77. They DQ'd over 10% of the field. The high school field couldn't see the girl. So no, 77 teams didn't see the girl. Period. I mean, the numbers don't lie. You can go look at the results right now.
That's right. Well,
All
I've got another teammate fishing the lakeside, and they came in, and I talked to him today actually, and Hunter, one of the kids, had to go run down. She was somewhere down the beach, evidently, from what I was told, but he finally found her. But anyway, she was like 100 yards down from the flag, so I don't know, man.
Look,
I don't know.
Here's what I'll say. Having literally run tournaments, having helped run tournaments, including helping run, as well as shooting all the video on the social media for the high school league itself and the junior league. And the junior league, we did controlled takeoffs on pretty much every lake except for Toledo Bend. Granted, the field in the junior league was 40, 50 boats, but honestly, the high school team, it wasn't but 70 boats. It ain't that much more. So I'm not saying this just armchair quarterbacking. I have literally been there and done that and got my hands dirty doing that. This was
Right.
mostly the fault of the league's lack of preparation and execution, because the officers of the league, when I got up there, were nowhere to be found. I think Charlie was up near the weigh-in, and he may have been helping with check-in. He may have been helping the weigh-in. I don't know. Kirk, of course, was emceeing. He's also the tournament director and MC. Well, Kirk's a great guy. He's a phenomenal MC. I think a wonderful tournament director, but you can't do both. You got the president of the league who was fishing. He had a later flight time, and I've told them all, you got to be last out and first in if you're helping run this league and fishing. No excuses for that, or stuff like this is going to happen. You got to be last out and first in. And nobody wants to listen until the chaos happens and they got a whole bunch of people that are pissed off.
Yeah.
So sorry to get on my soapbox for a few minutes, but all right, so let's go to the aftermath of all this. So we know there was some chaos at the weigh-in, and Kirk, apparently, I wasn't standing there, but several parents have reached out to me now, including teams that were affected by all this. Apparently, Kirk made an announcement about the lack of checking in or whatever, but they weren't going to DQ everybody or anybody, is what I was told. Is that what you were told, or what you know?
That's what I was told. I mean, I was told that Saturday evening. So.
Right. Okay.
Different on what's today? Wednesday.
Right.
So Wednesday morning, when I found out, apparently they had some kind of coaches meeting. Well, I don't know what went on with the meeting. I didn't know nothing about it. But if I'd have known something about it, I would have went up there. But anyways, we find out Wednesday morning, which, I mean, I don't know how you can say something ain't going to happen. 2 or 3 days later, you're going to change your mind. You're going to do this. So, you know, I'm not happy with it.
Well, all right, so let's talk about that for a second. So the first place team was one of the teams from Byrd High School. I think it was Billy Gaston, and forgive me for not knowing the names of the boys fishing on the team, but it was Billy Gaston's team. Now, it's my understanding, correct me if you're wrong, or folks, y'all correct me in the comments, and this is no slight on Billy at all. It's my understanding that until yesterday, or yesterday evening, whatever, Billy and them had first place. They gave them the first place plaques and trophies, and I don't know, gift cards. I don't think they're doing payouts anymore, but whatever, but gift cards or whatever. And now they've yanked everybody, or what was it, 11 or 12 teams or whatever, yanked all their places and basically DQ'd you, so you got 0 points for that tournament.
Got 0 points, buddy.
Okay.
Went from 9th place in the standings to 64th. So, you know, it's not good.
All right, so I'm going to put up the letter that Kirk posted on the league's page. Hold on here a second. And again, I know you probably can't see it, so I'll just read it for everybody else's sake that's maybe watching on their phones and can't read the little text. It says, this is from Kirk Williams, tournament director, and Kirk's a great guy. And I don't fault Kirk really for any of this.
Yeah, he's a super good guy, man. I like Kirk.
Right. Says, first and foremost, I want to thank all the coaches, volunteers, boat captains, moms, dads, and board members. With that being said, I want to make a public apology for not doing my job as a tournament director. There were 11 teams from all different schools that did not check in as they should. These teams have been disqualified, DQ'd. I totally mishandled this situation. These teams that will not be named, although of course nobody's stupid, they all go check the points, will not receive any points for the Caney Lake tournament. We will not be asking for anything back from this tournament. If you received a plaque, keep it. If you received a gift card, keep it as well. If you received a larger amount on your gift card, we will give you the difference to make this right. Sounds like they might have a guilty conscience a little bit. You will have to let us know so we can give you the correct amount. Again, this was my mistake, and I take full responsibility. My sincerest apologies, Kirk Williams. I think Kirk's completely sincere in that. I know him.
I do.
His heart's in the right place. Here's the problem I have. It wasn't, he was the tournament director, but look, I told him at the last meeting they let me go to at Bass Pro Shops. Being tournament director and MC is a problem because the tournament director needs to be going around making sure everything's running smoothly and addressing any potential problems, like, the whole check-in thing. When the girl was not at her chair the entire time, obviously.
Yeah. No, she wasn't.
And so here's the biggest problem I have is, look, I'm not speaking for Kirk. He posted the letter and all that, but they completely threw him under the bus. It's like they don't want to take any responsibility when you got other board members literally there and literally fishing the tournament. That's the biggest problem I have. As a matter of fact, first place and second place now are officers of the league. They were in the tournament, and instead of addressing these problems that were going on, they didn't do it. And that's the biggest gripe that I have. That and the flipping the fish doing cartwheels for the release. There's just zero excuse for that.
Zero excuse.
All right. So,
I mean, here's my other thing. I mean, you DQ a team, they got to forfeit what they got.
Right.
Why would you give a team the acknowledgement, gifts or whatever? I mean, you can't do that. If you're going to DQ a team, they need to turn everything back in and do it the right way.
I agree with you.
They should have never DQ'd anybody.
Right.
I mean, anybody with any common sense knows it was chaos up there at the landing. I'm just going to tell you like it is.
Well, look, here's Billy Gaston in the comments. Thank you, Billy. They were the first place team. They got DQ'd. They were the first place team. She wasn't there all the time, which cost us. That's your first place team right there that got DQ'd.
Yeah.
And that's a problem to me. Look.
It just goes to show that, there's a lot more to the story than everybody knows about. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie for my kids. I mean, hell, I know what went on.
Right. Well, and here's the problem. And look, folks, I'll be completely honest. Here's the reason I'm doing this is because somebody's got to speak up. It's not because not because y'all got DQ'd. It's not because Billy Gaston got DQ'd. I know Billy too. All right. It's because this was not, if it was one person or two people and they were absolutely late and all that, and they were just trying to squeak by and get checked in, I could see it. You got over 10% of the field that had an issue. That indicates a problem.
That's right.
Billy Gaston says they were in at 3:05. All right, so
I see him at the end of the dock down there.
Yeah,
I know they were there.
All right, so here's the other problem I got. So I'm gonna just bear with me for a few minutes. So I'm gonna get this screenshot out of the way, and I'm going to put up rule number 1 of the high school league, which are posted on the website that I'm hosting and literally built for the league. And I helped tweak these rules from the TBF and SAF. So I've highlighted rule number 1. I think somebody in the comments on the Outdoor News had also highlighted this or whatever, but it says rule number 1. Interpretation and enforcement of these rules will be left exclusively to the tournament director. Decisions of the tournament director are final in all matters and are not subject to appeal. Now, I don't think anybody's appealed this, but
I'm appealing it, buddy.
We're appealing it publicly.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. I'm gonna put up, and again, I know you can't see it, and for the folks that are on mobile, I'll make sure and read this. So here's rule number 12. Rule number 12 states there will only be one checkpoint for boat check-in in the morning, okay, and one check-in point in the afternoon. Failure to go through boat check and check out in the morning, or failure to check in at the check-in point will result in DQ. Now, here's the problem. They did announce, as we've already shown in that video, what the check-in procedure was going to be. But number 1, the audio on their video just sucked to high heaven. You couldn't hear it, which is why I boosted it and transcribed it. Number 2, now, I didn't physically see this, but it's my understanding that there was a sign up at the weigh tanks where the boat pegs were that said check-in.
Exactly. Check-in and weigh bags.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to verify that. Now, I guess and I might say this because I know some of the folks from the league are watching, are going to watch the replay later. y'all might want to double check all your teams. I'm not going to call anybody out, but y'all might want to check all your teams and make sure that you did DQ every single team that was late.
That's
Just
right.
saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, there's some rumors going around. I'm not going to say no names either, but I
Well,
understand what you're saying.
I know for a fact, but I don't want to call the team out.
I respect that.
So, I mean, I'll call the league out because y'all are the adults. Period. I'll call
Yeah.
the boat captains out if they do something wrong because y'all are the adults.
Yeah.
I'm not here. I've got video of the kids throwing the fish. I ain't going to show that video because I don't want to embarrass the kids and call the kids out because it's really not their fault. Because the league, I'm on my soapbox for a minute, but the league, I've been preaching for years, on and off helping the league from 2018 on, that they need to be more educational to the kids and to the boat captains. The league itself should take a leadership role in that, and they're just simply not doing it. And then you end up with chaos here because a lot of the boat captains, again, are relatively new to tournaments.
Yeah. There's a lot of them, buddy.
Well,
and not only that, I mean, it's springtime, so a lot of these fish got eggs in them. And, what kind of stress, I mean, it's already stressed enough to catch one, but then to release them and just chunk them like they're doing, it's not good. I mean, a lot of these boat captains, they need to teach these younger kids to respect our fisheries, man, respect our fish. Because, I mean, this is what my grandkids and so on is going to have to come up on and, depend on. And, they need to definitely talk to their kids and tell them the right way and, the right way to do things.
Yeah, I agree. And look, you're right. You bring up a good point. That's not all on the league. The league should take a leadership role in educating. It's why I posted the fish handling deals on Outdoor News. Any of you that want to know how to handle fish, I posted the stuff from BSS on there. Go read that. Take the time to read it. It's good stuff for all of you out there that may not know. Yeah. But you're right. It's not all on the league itself. This flows to the coaches of the teams, the coaches of the schools and the clubs, and then on down to the boat captains. But it should be a top-down approach. The league should take the lead in it and be the guiding light in all this. And unfortunately, this is nothing, I hate to say it, but right now it's nothing more than a glorified jackpot tournament. Everybody shows up with kids and jerseys.
That's right.
That's literally the way, that's what the thought that went through my head. And I hate to say it when I pulled up to that weigh-in because, look, it's the first time this league has been down to Caney. I advocated going to Caney in 2018 before they started catching the heavy stringers of fish. And they didn't want to do it. They finally went to Caney. I thought, well, this is going to be a good deal. And it was cool at first. I'm not saying the whole tournament was bad. And I know the kids had a lot of fun. And I'm proud for the kids that caught a lot of fish and all that. It's not that at all. It's unfortunately the adults that tend to screw everything up. It's not the kids usually. It's the adults.
That's exactly right, buddy.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Eddie. So I think we pretty much covered everything I want to cover this evening. Folks, so y'all know, this is going to be a series of podcasts. I've got some other guests and I'm posting some fishing videos when I go to Caddo and different lakes and all that too. But I'm going to do a series of these. It's going to be about the inside baseball on high school fishing. And not only that, I'm going to find some other topics. And Mr. Eddie, I anytime you want to come back on and give your perspective and 2 cents, you're more than welcome to.
Buddy, I'll be there. Look, I want just to, kind of be clear, I don't think we're going to fish Northwest. They done kind of burnt the bridge with me and my kids.
All right.
But I do want to give a shout out to Miss Ashley and Mr. John. They run the Northeast Division. Anyways, if parents ain't happy, come on board. Miss Ashley puts on one of the best tournaments around. And that's kind of where we're headed, buddy.
I hate to say it because I hate to see y'all not fish this league, but I can't blame you. I'm going to try to pull up while you're talking here for a minute, but I'm going to try to pull up the link so I can make sure and link everybody to Miss Ashley's group over there. And so why don't you talk about that for a little bit, the Northeast League. How do they do things over there? Where do they fish?
Well, we fish Caney, fish Darbone, fish Washita River, Lake Claver, Darbone, She'll put a little old special lake in there, like Lake Bruin. She's talking about maybe coming over this way, fishing Bistineau or Caddo, kind of throwing few of these lakes in, which I think would be real good. But I'm gonna tell you something. Miss Ashley, she looks out for these kids. She's been real good to my boys. She don't have a lot of sponsors, but what sponsors she does, she takes care of these kids. She puts all the money back into these kids, and she just runs a good circuit over there, man. I invite everybody, if you want to get a little taste of something that's kind of slick. I mean, we don't ever have any problems on the northeast side. She's got it going on. So I encourage everybody to give a shout out to her.
Well, I just put a link to their Facebook page in the comments and all that. And look, I want to be crystal clear before we get off of here. I am in no way, and Mr. Eddie, I can't speak for you, but I think you feel the same way. I am in no way, shape, form, or fashion saying that the North Louisiana High School Fishing League, the Northwest League, as we sometimes call it, is bad for kids. I'm not saying that at all. It is high school fishing.
I'm not going to say that either.
Right. High school fishing in general is a great thing. And this league, the league over here, has a lot of positive things to offer. Unfortunately, they were headed in a good direction, and it seems like they're stumbling on their toes right now. And I'm sure they're not going to want me to come back to any of their weigh-ins. And honestly, I don't care, but they're public lakes, so I could go hang out if I want to. But I'm not encouraging people to leave the league. I'm just encouraging people because, honestly, I get so many phone calls and messages from people that are like, look, here's what happened to us, but you can't say that I said this because we don't want to get ostracized, or we don't want to get embarrassed, or we don't want our kids called out, or any of that jazz. And so, unfortunately, I kind of feel like I got to speak for them sometimes and publicize this. But I agree with you. Miss Ashley runs a good league over there and a good trail. And folks, if y'all want an alternative, or you just want some more tournaments to fish, go check them out. I mean, there's also the Bass Nation deal. Mr. Tommy runs down there, runs south, but I think he's got a North Division or whatever. I'm not familiar with all of it. I know he runs a tight league. And so there are options available besides or in addition to the North Louisiana High School Fishing League. So I'm not just totally bashing them, but this Caney tournament was chaotic from an organizational standpoint. Look, I'm sure some of the kids are watching, and it's us adults that always mess everything up. And I'm glad the kids caught some fish, and there were some big fish caught too. And I'm glad for, the one Sabalvado girl that I think it was the first time she had caught her 5-fish limit. First time she caught a fish in a tournament. And so I'm glad she was able to catch fish in all the other teams. So I want to be crystal clear that I'm not advocating everybody leave the league, but I'm just telling you that tournament was chaotic. And I hope like heck they make it right, but I am going to do some more shows on this.
They just need to make it and kind of get, it was, I don't know. Just ain't happy with it, buddy. But I mean, it is what it is.
Well, you take your lumps, and that's that. All right, Mr. Eddie, anything else you want to say in closing?
No, I appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you having me on. Sure we'll be fishing together soon.
Hope so.
Anytime you want to call me, buddy, you want to hear my side of the story, I'll tell it to you.
All right.
But
well, hopefully next time we're talking, we'll be doing a little more fishing and pitching to some cypress trees or something instead of talking about all adult stuff with this drama stuff.
I'm ready, buddy, when you are.
All right. We'll talk to you later. All right, folks, I'm going to end the show right here. If y'all got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. A lot of you know my phone number. It ain't hard to find. Give me a call or shoot me a direct message or text message or whatever. If you agree or disagree, whatever, hey, put it in the comments. That don't mean that you're not going to get some blowback, but feel free to put it in the comments. Mr. Eddie, I really appreciate you coming on. And like I said, we'll look forward to going fishing together.
All right, Rex. Thank you, buddy.
We're signing off, everybody. I'm hitting the finish button right about now.